I actually began violin at age 8, which was a few years earlier than it started in school. And that was because my great-grandmother used to watch PBS, and she watched, who was it, Andre Rieu, and she'd also watch the Bill Gaither homecoming videos, the bluegrass gospel videos, and she loved the fiddle players, she loved the classical players, and I just got sucked in. I loved how much joy I was seeing on her face when she watched these people play, and I just wanted to learn how to do it. Mom thought that it might be a phase that I was going through, and that's a pretty expensive phase to go through, so I actually asked for 2 years, and then finally one day we were driving by a music shop. I said, "Mom, I really want to learn how to play the violin." And she stopped the car right there, turned around, and we went right into the music shop, and she said, "All right, I'm gonna get you a violin, and you're gonna give me at least a year." And let's just say after my first lesson, I was hooked. So all of my violins right now actually have 5 strings, and I am starting to be pretty convinced that that is the minimum number of strings that you need to have on your violin. You get the full range of the viola and the violin at the same time, and if it's possible, why not go for it? So even my acoustic violin right now has 5 strings. Perform! That's all I want to do. All I want to do forever for the rest of my life. Get on a stage, make a connection with an audience, make a connection with your bandmates, just spread joy to the most amount of people as possible. It's just so infectious, it's so addicting. So 100% perform, but I don't not practice, because there's nothing more freeing than getting on the stage and feeling like you know exactly what you're doing and that you can overcome any obstacle. And that only comes from practicing until it's effortless. So any violin that I'm gonna play has to be able to be plugged in. Ever since starting my professional career, it's always been the best idea to plug my violin in. When I can get away with miking an acoustic, I do like that sound, but most of the time I'm playing right next to a drummer, and that is just not possible. Plus, electric violins have come so far, and the tones you can get out of them is just, I mean, it's limitless, especially like with a multi-effects processor or something. Like you can make your violin sound like anything. If you want to sound like a rock guitar, you can sound like a rock guitar. If you want to sound closer to an acoustic violin that's playing a huge massive hall, even though you're recording in your bedroom, you can do that. So to me, electric plug-in, the possibilities are endless. I don't really know what salad is, but it doesn't sound like it's as good as pizza. I will always defer to improvising because it's my absolute favorite thing to do. But I don't knock reading sheet music. That has gotten me plenty of gigs and plenty of studio sessions I could not have done if I wasn't able to sight read. So that is definitely a skill I still keep up. But if I have the choice, improv every day. Logic, definitely. Always been the easiest for me to understand, so easy is where I go. Although right now I am actually trying to learn Ableton for my live show, so wish me luck with that. No, and I'm kind of glad, because I've had some friends who have told me that perfect pitch can be just as much a hindrance as it is a gift, especially if they're in a room with an out-of-tune piano, or they're singing in a choir that's singing to an out-of-tune piano or something. It can be very daunting. But no, I don't have perfect pitch, but I do have really good relative pitch, so that most of the time when I am in a band setting, I can at least tell what key the song is in based on just what I know my violin sounds like. And so most of the time, by the first or second note of playing, I'm already in the key and I'm playing what I need to be playing. Also, because I'm so obsessed with tone, I'm really sensitive to the violin's tone. So when I hear a violin or a fiddle on the radio, I would say 99.9% of the time I can tell what key it's in and even picture, you know, what fingerings and stuff are being used. So that's very helpful. Yes to the shoulder rest. Kun. Best. Takes up the space. Don't have any tension. I am obsessed with tension-free playing, so it's a necessity. I think I fall more into the jazz realm of things. I tend to think of myself kind of in the smooth jazz, neo-soul, and rhythmic stuff. Really, I think the best term for me and what I'm trying to do with my instrument is commercial violinist. Like if you think classical, commercial, I fall in the commercial realm. I gotta go with the cats on this one. I have had 4 cats in my lifetime, and I love them all. Never been really much of a dog person. We have a cat right now named DOG. And the reason why we have a cat named DOG is because my wife really wanted a dog. And so we compromised by getting a cat and naming it Dog. Right now, it's still Instagram. I just freaking love how easy it is to connect with people and get your stuff out there. I've gotten lots of new clients and lots of new jobs from Instagram. I've met a lot of really cool people. I've done some really cool collaborations through Instagram. I found 3 Various through Instagram. Honestly, that is it. But TikTok is starting to grow on me. I'm really, really loving how I can use that app to duet instantly with anybody who posts a video. That is really, really cool and a lot of fun. Multi-effects, definitely, 100%. So I used to use the mini pedal way of doing things when I first started out. And honestly, I just didn't know what I was doing. So I was buying pedals that my friends told me were good pedals, and they liked them for their guitars, because again, I didn't really have many violin friends in Virginia that were using guitar pedals. So I was really stuck to asking guitarists what they wanted to use, and they weren't giving me necessarily the right answers for my violin, or at least I didn't know what I was doing. So having a multi-effects processor like the Ampero, for example, that just has all of the pedals that you would ever find in the world just right in there at your fingertips, and not only all the pedals, but then you can go in and fine-tune the pedals to make them to a different pedal, and you can line them all up and make your own virtual pedal boards, and that is just a fun time. And it really doesn't matter if you know what you're doing or not, because you can experiment, and that's what the electric violin is so great for, is experimentation. Long answer for multi-effects processor. For better or worse, I have never acquired a taste for alcohol. Just can't do it. It just doesn't taste good to me. Kodabow! I am obsessed with the carbon fiber Kodabows, 100%. I use the Diamond GX and the Jewel. I love them both. The Jewel, of course, is for the extended range 5-string instrument, so it's probably my workhorse. But every now and then I need a more balanced touch, and I'll use the GX for that. That's for like my classical sessions, and if I'm chopping a lot, actually, honestly, this one is the one that I use the most. But I used to use a wooden bow when I played, and I would take it to festivals. I also used to use a cheap carbon fiber bow, like a rental bow. I'd buy them in bulk at like 25 bows in a pack, and I would just go through them. The wooden bows would warp because of the weather, and the cheap carbon fiber bows I would take out of my case. They would still be loose completely, but because of the weather and all this other stuff, they would not be able to tighten. So they were useless. Both of those scenarios, the bows were just useless for what I do. Then I found Coda Bow through the violin shop in Nashville, bought my Diamond GX, absolutely loved it and started taking it everywhere, and they have never failed me. If I'm up before 10, it's because I'm on tour and I have to be up before 10. I can do it if I have to, but it is not how I normally function. I am a stay up until 4 or 5 in the morning type of person and sleep in until noon if I can. To me, when it's dark outside and the house is quiet, that's my time to create. Like, I am just up. I get such a boost of energy when the sun goes down, so I'm always up super late. I like a healthy balance of both, honestly. I feel like reverb puts you in a room that you might not be in. Like, I'm normally recording from my little home studio here, which is nothing more than a spare bedroom and some microphones. So being able to put myself into a different room, like a concert hall, that's amazing. But delay really adds the definition to the room. You know, it's not just a room anymore. You know exactly how far away that back wall is. What is it made out of? Are the, you know, like, you're hearing the reverberations come back to you, and that information is painting a more detailed picture. So I feel like it's kind of a clarity filter, like on Photoshop or something. It just kind of, they go hand in hand. That's too tough. I'm not gonna pick one. So I started classical training on my violin at 8 years old, and I went all the way up through high school. I ended up getting into a specialty center for visual and performing arts in Virginia. And part of their program was to do this benefit concert where they invited a rock band to come in and play with the orchestra. We dove into the dynamics of how to put arrangements together for playing with a rock band and how to put on a benefit concert and all that stuff. It was really, really cool. But my favorite memory is not actually that concert, but that was actually the first time that I met Janine and her rock band offering. I was practicing in one of the practice rooms, and she was the guest artist that was coming to do that concert with our school. She heard me practicing, came in, we talked for a bit, and basically she invited me to come to do a rehearsal with her and her band. They were gonna play, I think, at a coffee shop or something later on in the week. And I was, besides a little bit of bluegrass and stuff, I was pretty much just classical at the time. So it was really my first experience playing with a rock band, doing commercial music and stuff like that. I had a great time at the rehearsal, had a great time at the show, loved the band. Then one day Janine comes to me and says, hey, we've actually been working on like a secret little project for about 3 years now, and that secret project is getting the band over to Beijing, China. And she said, so do you want to go? And I said, yes, I definitely do. So my mom and I got on the jet, went to Beijing, China, had an amazing time doing some awesome missionary work, but also getting the chance to play my violin over in Beijing, China. We got to do a cultural exchange with the Beijing Opera House, where we got to go behind the scenes backstage and see how they put all their makeup on, and they gave us a performance of some of their opera, which was very different than our opera. And then we played some music for them at the Opera House, and this was my first real experience with commercial music and with touring. Music is so powerful, and I got to see it firsthand at such a young age while still in high school. And ever since then, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I want to play my violin, tour the world, and spread as much joy and make as big of a difference as I can while I'm still here. Actually, my first time playing a Stradivarius violin was at NAMM, and the very first thing I did was find the wah setting on their Ampero pedal that they were using. I just love it so much. Chopping with it is so fun, soloing with it is so fun. And And if the expression pedal is too tricky, auto wah is so great. I use auto wah probably more than I use wah, and it's just so fun. I love it. So the first song that I learned was, of course, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, just like everyone else. And I remember still to this day getting home and being so frustrated that I couldn't play it right away, and I didn't sound anything like my teacher. And I felt like I was so squeaky and terrible that I spent the rest of the night practicing, and my mom let me stay up because I was so determined and she could see it. I know nothing about the sports balls. Cello. Without a doubt, I think cello is one of the, if not the most beautiful instrument. It's so rich, it's so low, it's so beautiful, but yet it can still soar high with the violins. This is the current picture on my phone. This is my little Emmeline, my 2-year-old daughter, and I absolutely love her. Neither. I'm trying my best to live in the moment, live in the present. I really love composing, but I really love to do it in a collaborative effort, whether it's songwriting or getting together instrumentally with people. I just love that process, and so honestly it kind of feels like playing most of the time when you're doing it. You just get together with somebody and you just start playing, you just start improvising, you start jamming, or maybe one of you has a riff or a chop pattern that you want to do, and you just start from whatever you have and just see what happens. You put it into Logic and you listen back and you go, okay, I'm going to tweak this, I'm going to tweak that, I'm going to re-record this, and maybe you do a harmony on that. And that's my favorite way. That's composition for me. A violinist, it would have to be Tracy Silverman and Casey Dreesen, two rhythmic violin gods, in my opinion. They can do no wrong, and they're always coming up with some cool, groovy new stuff, working on some crazy new projects. Like Tracy's got his strum bowing out, Casey Dreesen's just doing all this stuff with chop notation. Just really cool. And then as far as other artists though, I tend to listen to people who play different instruments than me. So saxophones, I'm really inspired by their tone, the way they put the vibrato after the note. I'm trying to incorporate that more in my playing. Also, neo-soul guitarists that I've been finding on Instagram and TikTok and all that, they just have this really hip sound that I just want to incorporate in my playing. When I hear something that I love, I just want to find a way to put it on the violin.